Hey guys, it's Marissa from Grow in the Flow, coming in here with some stars and cards for Thriving Thursday. We're going to talk today in a part 1 about the very powerful and transformative eclipse season that is upon us. So part 1, we're going to look at this upcoming new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. And part 2, we'll be taking a look at the very, very significant blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus that will be happening in the beginning of November. Now, as I always say, I am not an astrologer, I'm an enthusiast, so I've put together here some amazing information provided by a number of resources that I am very grateful to. So as we move in here, we're going to take a peek first at retrograde. We know we started this month with a number of planets in retrograde. In fact, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron were all in retrograde. Several of these planets have now come station direct. So what I have here is our counterclockwise motions are showing those planets still in retrograde, and then the clockwise are those which have or will be stationing direct. So we've already got Mercury and Pluto now stationed direct this month, and Saturn will be joining them coming up on October 23rd. So this is really helping to lighten some of the heavy retrograde energies that we have absolutely been feeling. Now with Saturn going direct, we may begin to see how some of these challenges that we were experiencing under that retrograde have really actually shaped us and opened us up to some new opportunities. It really does help us to clear and move beyond any type of karmic energy or things that we've been moving through that we now can officially clear. So that is like, let's give a big sigh of relief and a breath of fresh air for that one. Because then when we move into the rest of the month, we've got a lot of powerful energy coming up. Now, while we're on the topic of retrograde, we're going to preview the next one coming forward, and that's going to be Mars retrograde. That's going to be occurring on October 30th. Now, Mars is the planet of action, energy, motivation. When it enters into retrograde, we're often challenged to think about how we're spending our energy and what exactly is driving our motivation. We may even need to look back at some of our past actions and how those actions may be helping or harming us. So it also is an energy that can kind of mess with our energy levels. So when that happens, it's often indicative that we have some work to do. So something is there that needs to be addressed before we can move ahead. So that can have us feeling a little extra sluggish, perhaps feeling like every time we take a step forward, we're having a need to step back. So be gentle with yourself. We'll talk more about that Mars energy when it comes up. Just want to give you a heads up of what is on deck. Now, just before the official launch of eclipse season, we will begin Scorpio season. That's going to happen on October 23rd when we're shifting out of that air sign of Libra and into the water sign of Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is the energy that can draw us inward, making us sort of reflecting in, looking into the roots of our thought patterns, our habits. We may even throughout the season experience a breakthrough in understanding perhaps why we operate the way we do, or having some type of an aha moment that can be the thing that guides us to make some real lasting changes in our lives. So, while we have the Scorpio, the scorpion is known to perhaps make us feeling a little extra sensitive, the more in tune that we can become with those energies, the greater our awareness and our perception and understanding can be. The gift of Scorpio is, in fact, transformation. It's the sign that is with the death card in the tarot, truly death and rebirth, transformation. So Scorpio will loan to you the strength and the curiosity to plumb to those depths, face your monsters, and then soar to new heights and transform the situation. So when we dive into that well within, it can help us to connect in with that collective source for some true healing, rebirth, and transformation. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to eclipse season. Eclipse season is always a highly transformative time. We can think of it as portals that can fast track us to the next chapter of our soul's evolution. And on this fast track, we tend to undergo some abrupt transformations that can be life-changing. And oftentimes we see this reflected in our microcosms, but also on the world stage, in our macrocosm, some world events or political events and highly charged changes and shifts that can take place. So, you'll note some dates coming up over eclipse season, especially in the US and in other parts of the world where there are some of those significant collective aspects on deck. So eclipses are going to affect us all differently. Some we might feel very intensely, others we might barely notice. But just like the retrogrades, we say being mindful, not fearful, right? So understanding the energies that we have here to work with. Now, if you do experience a big soul upgrade that's needed in your life, if you've been nearing the end of a journey or looking for some kind of a stepping stone to take you leaping into the next chapter, eclipses very often bring that bridge that you've been waiting for. Now, before we delve into these two specific eclipses that make up the upcoming season, we're going to talk a little bit about how best to work with the eclipse energy. What eclipses are. So of course, eclipses are about the obstruction of light. We have a new moon, which represents the moon coming between the earth and the sun. And then we have a full moon, which represents the earth coming between the sun and the moon when the eclipses happen in either of those two moon phases. So when there is this alignment between the three, there's an obstruction going on with what is coming in between. So it's representing the moon, the sun's light, and the earth's energy, creating these differentials, shadow either on the moon or shadow over the sun. And so in ancient astrology, that could have been seen as like a scary omen, kind of like tower card energy that foretold of challenging events ahead. Now, as I mentioned, we understand that oftentimes it does affect us in the way of big world events, political, global things, and then of course for us on a personal level, things coming to a head. So the energy, is definitely in a shadow, dark position where it may not be a good time to look to manifest things, to really be focusing on what we're calling in and wishing for and bringing into our lives, initiating new things, big, huge projects, things like that, casting spells on what we want. But even though there is this obstruction of light, there is still an alignment. The two luminaries, the moon and the sun, bringing in aspects of our spirit and the ambitions of our soul. Our earth is representing our home, our environment. So when those three things are in alignment, the spirit, ambitions of our soul, and our home, there can be some powerful energy to work with there. So not that we're trying to get something, a time to manifest what we want, but rather than focusing on what it is you want, it is opportune for you to focus on what needs to be destroyed in order to get you there. What is the obstacle? What is the block? What is creating this disruption in light? There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. There's something in the way of perhaps a mental obstruction, patterns, behaviors, old ways of being that are coming up to be eliminated in order to fast track you to that end, right? So when we look at that, we can kind of say, okay, rather than focusing on what I want, the love of my life, this business, this success, this thing that I'm looking to manifest, we're manifesting that thing not through discovering a path to get there, but rather tearing apart everything that bridges the gap between me and that thing. That is very powerful to understand that we can work with manifesting in that way during the eclipse energy. We're looking out for the obstacles. And so now as we turn to this eclipse seasons typically do bring two eclipses that kind of work together in tandem. So eclipses do have a peak date, but the energy is so potent that we tend to feel them building up a month before and a month after. So we're very likely already feeling a lot of this powerful energy now, as the first stop along eclipse season is happening on October 25th. That is when we have a solar new moon eclipse, again in the sign of Scorpio, and then later we will have the total lunar blood moon eclipse on November 8th. And these eclipses are very linked. So we're focusing here today specifically on the solar new moon eclipse. There will be that part 2 where we're going to look even deeper at the blood moon eclipse in November, but there is a lot of overlap here with the energies that we are experiencing. So with the new moon coming into the sign of Scorpio, it's going to be a partial eclipse, and it's going to be a softer opening into eclipse season. So it's not going to be that intense per se, but solar eclipses are the ones which always fall on new moons, and they are portals of new beginnings. They can open doors and form new energetic pathways that we can travel down. So it's new energy, kind of bringing in a reminder of coming back to self and what we are here to achieve. Now, we might start to feel a little inspiration coming in, perhaps feeling the inkling to plant some new seeds or begin new chapters in our lives. But again, with this being in the sign of Scorpio, it can have to do with connecting on a higher level of our soul, understanding ourselves on a deeper level, peeling back those layers to really reveal the new truths that are coming forward for us. Now, partnered with that energy, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and heart expansion, will be very active under this solar eclipse. So that's going to bring in some harmonious vibrations. With it being very active, we have an opportunity to use that energy with the solar eclipse to expand our hearts, giving and receiving love in our lives, and to really think about what it is that we truly value. Finding it perhaps easier to love, easier to give, easier to focus on what is truly important to us, being in that space. Now, when we are in this heart expansive energy, we might even get some clarities about what's needed to navigate these challenges in our relationships. Libra season talked a lot about the challenges that we might be seeing in our relationships, opportunities to bring balance and harmony. So, we may get some clarity in those regards, which could have to do with even coming to some conclusions in our relationships, really deciding that our heart is ready to open and move on to a new chapter. So we do see that energy coming in along with the Scorpio energy, which is bringing in some of that feminine energy. And then, of course, being partnered with the very feminine moon energy, there can be some feelings of feminine energy rising up, wanting to be heard, felt, and expressed. So we have that coming forward as well. Now, this feminine receptive energy is going to be key in helping us to embrace the energy of eclipses, because they carry their own power that helps us to create, move, and shift us wherever we need to be. We have an opportunity to use this energy to sit back, go with the flow, and trust in whatever the universe needs to bring our way. So that is the key, is surrendering and relinquishing so that we can receive and allow things to come up as they will through these powerful energies. So beyond that, it will move into the blood moon eclipse, which is definitely going to be an incredibly potent energy that will be building up into and through the November peak. So as I said, we will circle back and discuss that in more detail. Next up, let's tune into this new moon solar eclipse with a collective spread where we'll pull some cards and see how we can best work with this energy. Let's take a look. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and tune into our solar eclipse spread for the collective. We're going to use the Psychic Tarot. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down and pull our 5 cards. So here we are going to tune into 5 intentions with these cards for what we may expect as the collective with this solar eclipse coming up with the Scorpio new moon. So the first position is what is blocked and in the dark. So a card to represent the blockage. What is in the dark? One card there. Then we are going to pull the second card for what the eclipse will reveal for the future. What is coming to light? Okay. Next we have what I must do to achieve that future. So action steps, positions that you may take to work toward that potential future. Beautiful. And then the last 2 cards are underscoring these 3. Number 4 is the biggest influence that the eclipse will have on our spirit. Okay. See that? And finally, the best way to prepare the spirit for change. The best way to prepare for these changes. Very good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these up and we're gonna chat some more. Okay, so here we have our 5-card spread, and just kind of taking a look at these cards, my first hit is noticing that all of the energy is happening in the lower chakras. So we have the Wands energy very connected in with our passion, with sacral and solar plexus energy. And then we have the Pentacles with our root chakra in the base and very earth energy, along with the Aries energy of the Emperor coming in here as well, also taking us into a very base earth level. So just kind of feeling into each of these positions as we take a look at one by one. So the first position says, what is blocked and in the dark? And we have the Ace of Wands coming up. And so I think that for many people, and this did first come up in the Aries new moon that we just had about 2 weeks ago, is about creativity awakening and perhaps blocked creativity or stunted creativity, things that have been laying dormant in the way of your expression. And so whether that is self-imposed, like taking a step back from creative ventures, or just very consciously not engaging in some of those things that perhaps really would be igniting the passions, or more of a situation where just not being able to do so just because of life and responsibilities and things going on, that has felt blocked or in the dark, or just like those embers have gotten a little cooled, where we're not feeling that ignition of the passion. So for many people, it is going to be about that ability to take action, to perhaps feel clear on where they're headed. And again, this can be in creative ventures and business, but also just your work in the world, how you express yourself, your desires, all of that lower chakra energy, feeling the courage and the self-confidence and the ability to step out. Those are all things that, we could be seeing highlighted as being somewhat blocked for one reason or another, and taking that deeper look at perhaps what is driving that, what is fueling that. Now, when we take a look at card 2, we're looking at what the eclipse will reveal for the future. And we have the very fortuitous 9 of Pentacles. Here it's called material harvest, the coming in of all the things. So here we see all of that material abundance and wellness. So the eclipse reveals for the future that all of these things are on the table for you. They're all available for the taking. And so when we talk about Pentacles energy, we're looking at our money, but also commodities in terms of our energy, of our time. It talks about our homes, our surroundings. It talks about feelings of safety, security, connection in with our people, our roots, whether it's family, ancestral connections, bloodlines, revealing for the future a fortuitous energy around. And it feels like, again, seeds that have been planted and perhaps lying dormant for very long, thinking back to that Ace of Wands and that passion ignited, just kind of sitting dormant, underground, germinating. Revealed by this eclipse is the harvest coming in, the growth and harvest of these things. So there's a lot of fortuitous, abundant potential here. And we know, and as we look through the rest of the spread, things we've been talking about the form that these things sometimes come to us, perhaps not being what we expect, or in the form that perhaps we would like them to come. So the important thing to remember is that there is abundant opportunity in the things that are showing up for us. So being open to how they're appearing to us, the form that they take when we receive these gifts. So card 3 says, what must I do to achieve that future, that material abundance? And here we have the 8 of Wands, accelerated motion. We have to take action. There needs to be movement. So now this is, again, over on the other side of this eclipse season. So we're not necessarily taking accelerated motion steps at this time. There may be some steps that we take along the way, mostly being open to allowing the clearing away. And again, any steps that are necessary to clear those obstacles or blocks, absolutely on the table. Now I see there's a symbolism in a few of the cards of this mountain energy, and I'm seeing that here. So these peaks and valleys and the climb, this idea that each one of the steps that are being taken, even if we're feeling the need to step back after we take a step forward, it's all progress. It's all about our forward acceleration. Ultimately, it will all be moving us forward. So really, again, see how she's looking out to the star in the sky. It feels very connected to tuning into these energies, surrendering into them, and allowing yourself to flow with them is the key to achieving the things that the eclipse is coming forward to reveal for you. Now, position 4 is looking at the biggest influence the eclipse will have on the spirit. And we have the Emperor coming in here. And this is a very strong, sturdy energy. We have this card called authority. And it really does feel like the influence being stepping into your power, owning your power. That yellow ring around the head feels like a marriage of those mental blocks that were going on and then that solar plexus energy. So by clearing these obstacles, clearing those blockages, the head is now on board. The head understands. There's a knowingness now that you have what it takes, that it is a matter of your believing in self, of stepping into your power, of owning your ability to take these steps and to bring this into your life. And it just, that number 4 has also been very key, the energy of our foundations, of stability, of, taking this time to look at all of our foundations to see what is going on there in need of perhaps reinforcements, repair, and also, again, destruction. What needs to be removed? Yesterday, I was given 2 analogies in readings I was doing, and one of them was about these foundations and thinking about the game of Jenga, okay? And I'm getting that here because I'm looking at this Emperor with those columns on either side, playing that game of Jenga, where you have all of those little pieces that you are going to pull out from the bottom. And so you have to be very strategic about that, right? We're not just going to walk up and yank the piece out of the bottom. It's something where you have to really look at and examine each piece by piece and understand, how each move that is made is going to affect the structure itself. So that was a pretty cool analogy that came up that I'm feeling coming in here, saying that this eclipse will help the spirit to know exactly which puzzle pieces to move and when, to take that very well thought and understood energy, the strategic moves that are going to help move you ever closer to where you are going on soul level. So this is really powerful stuff. And I like the stability of this card because, of course, eclipse season can be very unstable, feel volatile, and all the energies that we've been discussing. This does bring sort of a centered energy, and it really is connected in again with that solar plexus. Now, finally, for position 5, we're looking at the best way to prepare the spirit for these changes. And we have the 3 of Pentacles. Here it's called recognition and reward. I love this because 3, of course, is the number of creation. It's the number of collaboration. And so when we look at how we can prepare and knowing that this solar eclipse is happening in this full moon, another aspect of the full moon, influenced by that energy from Venus and the Scorpio energy, can have, if you've been feeling sort of isolated or on your own or in search of tribe or support or guidance, this is a solar eclipse that could be the perfect time to plant some seeds for attracting like-minded, supportive people and loving community. So the 3 of Pentacles is all about collaborating with others, consulting. So you may find that there are others that you can reach out to connect with, to help bring in this energy and to prepare yourself. So if you're making any efforts during this new moon solar eclipse to expand in that way, grow your community, align more of your values, that's all going to be amplified under this energy. So that's a great indicator right here with this card. So I really like that here. Also, again, I see the mountains in the background. So that again was giving me this climb, this energy of the peaks and the valleys and the journey, and understanding that when you find yourself in a dip, or if you are struggling on the incline, that you can reach out to others. First of all, you can rest, take time to step back and take a look at how far you've come, but also know that you can reach out to others for support. So there's an energy here of that as well for some people who may want to reach out to others in order to get some guidance on how best to work with these energies, preparing yourself for all of these very intense changes that are coming about. Further, as I look at it again, I kind of feel like I'm loving like the columns from the Emperor, along with that mountain energy. So as we look back over some of the cards that came up, we had the accelerated motion of the 8 of Wands with that mountain energy. We have the columns with the authority card for the Emperor, and now all culminating into recognition and reward. You will be victorious. It is on the horizon. The light is shining in on the other side of this eclipse for you to really call in some very powerful and lasting changes into your life. And so the summary of our collective card pull for the solar eclipse is really showing us some very fiery energy, these bookends of the passion ignited, accelerated motion, both being key components in that material harvest. And again, look at how this just worked out that the spread has those 2 cards laying long ways on the bottom as a foundation, as the base. At the base is that 4 Emperor energy and the 3 of creation, of collaboration, recognition, and reward. So really allowing yourself to go deep with this eclipse energy, to look at your foundations, to be in the base, to understand root causes, to looking deeply into those things to see what layers can be stripped away, peeled away, thinking about that Scorpio death energy of rebirth and transformation. Very beautiful and powerful. Again, when it is difficult to navigate these things, that is where it is best for us to focus on getting grounded, coming back into center, again, collaborating with other like-minded people for support, and taking time for yourself to be out in nature, getting back to your base. Coming back into center. So this is all really beautiful energy that's come up again on the collective level. You might like to try this spread for yourself to get some more specific messages as well. And so here in summary, just looking back over how we can best work with eclipse season, we're remembering that eclipses are portals to that major change and transformation on both our microcosm, on our individual levels, and in the macrocosm on the world stage. A lot of times marking those monumental life events that all pave the way for new journeys, for bringing in the new, endings that welcome in new beginnings. An ideal time for us to do deep reflection, to become more aware of our internal emotions, going within, inner reflection. Moments within the year that force us at times or move us toward growth and expansion. even if we don't want to, right? Even if we feel scared by it. It is just an essential part of our human evolution. So the best way for us to work with it is surrendering and flowing alongside any abrupt changes, listening to the universe, trusting our intuition, realizing that the universe is not here working against us, right? It is moving us towards what is most needed, what must clear away, and what is waiting to come in. So the more that we can relinquish control, practice that mindful breathing, getting centered, the easier it will be. The more we can move forward with grace and ease, not kicking and screaming. But the choice is ours, right? Don't be afraid to face those fears. Also, once again, cannot overstate getting grounded in nature, meditation, journaling, energy work, all ways to help you move through this very powerful and transformative time. Okay, guys, that's all from me today. I just want to preview for you that I am going to be offering some new options with our monthly empowerment packs. So if you're interested, please stay tuned to find out more about that in the coming days. I also have a number of special spreads still available as we move through the rest of fall and into the winter solstice period to look at a number of different things with some special spreads and healings that are available. Next up, we will have part 2 of this eclipse season module, looking at that Taurus full blood moon lunar eclipse coming up November 8th. So please stay tuned for that. I thank you as always for joining me. I appreciate all of your feedback and your support. I am sending you all so much love and many blessings. Till next time.